culture shock in America as an international student. My friends, this should be a fascinating one. I'm really curious to see your perspective, but before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Now, link for the original video in my description and let's play it.
Today's video is a highly requested, very fun one. We're going to talk about the culture shocks of America.
Oh boy.
If you're new to my channel, aloha, I'm Katie. I am an international student from the Philippines studying abroad at Cornell University. Technically, I'm in the Philippines right now because of COVID and I'm continuing remotely, but I've had 2 years living in America as a student. There are many things that have shocked me, that have been hard to adjust to, that have been hard to relate to some of my friends in America because I grew up so differently. The first thing is small talk and friendliness. Like, wow. People in America are so friendly. Like, when you're...
Clap, clap for America, my friends. Should we do it? Of course we should. I love Americans.
In the elevator, you will say nothing the entire elevator ride up, but then when they go to leave, they'll say good evening, or they'll acknowledge your presence. Whereas here, I have never said that to anybody. So when
Europe is actually kind of similar to Philippines, I guess, because we don't speak to each other.
We're at a restaurant or buying something, I've noticed that people in America make it an effort to have a small conversation, to talk to you, ask like, how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. It's like very down to business in my experience here in the Philippines. It's just like, put in your order, say thank you, do all the polite things, but no extra content.
Okay, but let me say one thing, because I think it's also very fair. Portugal is actually a very friendly country, and a lot of people will talk with you. I feel like comparing with other countries in Europe, better saying, maybe not as open as Americans, but I feel like a lot of you guys that come to Portugal, you guys tend to enjoy this country a lot because people are also very friendly. At least my perspective. I know I'm talking about my own country, but I really believe that, my friends.
Conversation after that. Time in America is so valuable though. It is counted on the dot. If you have a meeting at 4 p.m. and you show up 5 minutes late, like you better give a heads up ahead of time. Like it's not acceptable really to just show up that late without any excuse, because it's kind of like a big sign that's like, I don't care about your time if you show up that late. Whereas in the Philippines, like bro, a dinner will be scheduled at 7 p.m. but it won't start till 9 p.m. and it's normal. Like no one will complain. It'll just be like haha for like, you know, time, whatever. So it has been a big shock to me because I come back home every winter and summer and I have to adapt. When I'm in America, I'm like, okay, like we'll agree on this time, let's do it. Okay, and then I'll come back home to the Philippines and I'll expect people to do that, and they'll be like, why are you so in a rush all the time? Mostly my family will be like, can you not just...
But my friends, I like this about you because I also relate with this, you know. If you take a look at my videos, I put them all every day at the same time. I never miss. It's even when I was sick for a week, I still end up putting videos for you, my friends. You guys probably noticed that I was a bit sick, but I put 2 videos a day at the same time. My time is 23:30 and 1 a.m. 30. For you, it will be different. Make the math. I actually don't know, my friends, but I put them at every day at the same hour.
Be a bit flexible, and it's like looked down upon when I'm being really fussy about my time, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, time is chill, I should be a bit more flexible.
Let's run this part back, sorry, but actually if you guys end up not being aware, yeah, I put videos daily here and 2 per day.
So in a rush all the time, mostly my family will be like, can you not just be a bit flexible? And it's like looked down upon when I'm being really fussy about my time, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, time is chill, I should be a bit more flexible. And I don't know, they're good for different worlds. I feel like I'm constantly being tugged by these 2 worlds, because on one hand I'm like, yes, when I'm in that mindset of let's do stuff, let's get stuff done, then timing matters. Also because my schedule is so packed back to back. In America, it's like planned by the hour, whereas in the Philippines, it's like planned by the day. Like I'll have a few goals for the day, and then it doesn't matter if, you know, there are some changes spontaneously here and there, but it's very chill. This one's interesting, but stranger danger. Let's say I want to meet up.
Am I the only one that thinking is getting an email with that sound?
Up with a friend, or like go on a coffee chat with someone just to learn about their projects, or just, I don't know, network. I probably would not do that in the Philippines. Like I would not just meet someone online and then agree to meet them in person, whereas in the States I'm more open to do that. I'm in a college campus though, so it's a bit safer in that setting.
Oh, that's different. If you are talking with someone in the same university as you, but you guys don't meet someone on the Facebook and go to a coffee, right away. I mean, nothing against if you do that, but at least try to, get some information, or you may find yourself kidnapped or something.
But even like people will reach out to me on LinkedIn, and as long as I see mutual friends, like I would be down to go on a call with them. But when that happens to me in the Philippines, I'm a bit more cautious.
I don't know if this is a good idea, my friends.
I think it's just when you grow up in two different places, your brain kind of adapts to
Maybe
that
this is my
environment,
European
and it
side.
also adapts to that culture. So I've noticed that about me. This is one of my favorite ones: political correctness. I had zero sense of being PC in the Philippines. Really, it's like nothing compared to what I've learned in America, and I get why. It's because America is so diverse. You really have people from all over the world, whereas in the Philippines, we are pretty homogenous, like mostly Filipino, Asian. We kind of get the culture, so we're a bit more open to say things that could be offensive. And I know it sounds a bit bad, but it really is just a cultural thing. It's very lighthearted. We make fun of it. One example is in the Philippines, people are much more comfortable at like poking at your physical appearance, or at least for me, it's like people will very much call me out and say whether I'm skinny, whether I've gained weight. I think these issues exist in both countries, but the way that it's handled in America is definitely more sensitive. Like I would not just like tell my friend she gained weight. I would probably ask her more like from a side kind of view, like how have you been doing with eating, like have you been feeling healthy, like are you okay? I would not like just jump straight into it and be like you gained weight, whereas that
I mean, okay, and then this is the correct approach. At the end of the day, people have feelings, right? But okay.
happens to me all the time in the Philippines. And in addition to that, people have been very quick to just suggest things and be like, you have to eat more. And I'm like, I haven't even said a word and you're telling me to eat more, or like, okay. Let's talk about lifestyle. In America, there's a huge work-life separation. In the professional sense, it very much means like you have a 9-to-5 job, and after that point, like it is social life. They're very respectful of your time outside that working window that you set aside. Whereas in the Philippines, some people still work on Saturdays and it's normal. It's more like,
oh, but you guys told me that a lot of people also work in Saturdays in America. And the economy is not the best right now in the entire world, not just in America. So maybe more people have to take extra work.
Lax or chill, where going overtime is a bit more common and it's a bit more graceful when it happens. But I feel like when it happens in America, people are more like strict about it, like, yo, this is overtime, by the way. On the opposite end, what I think is really interesting is there's also no work-life balance, at least in a college setting, in that people just work. Maybe it's also because I go to Cornell, and Cornell is pretty prestigious, and so people are just working all the time. Like literally they work non-stop. Even on Fridays they're at the library grinding, Saturday they're grinding, Sunday they're grinding. They just don't stop. In the Philippines, there's definitely a pause on the weekend, especially Sunday. Like Sunday is a family day. Nobody works on Sundays. It is weird if you call about work on Sundays. And even as I was growing up, in high school, I always just reserved some time on Sunday for the family. Whether we go out for lunch or just do some bonding activity, Sunday is always for the family. And I think that is tied into how the Philippines is a very religious.
But in America, it's the same thing, right, my friends? You guys love to go to... I know America is a very religious country, and at least people that are very religious tend to go to the church on Sunday, so I assume they don't work that day also.
This country, we are 90% Catholic, 95% Christian, and so that kind of ties in with like Sunday is our rest and reset day.
Wait, what? Christian and Catholic is inside of the Christian religion, right?
Reset day. If nobody has ever told you, America is expensive and consumer culture is huge. The cost of living in America is way higher. Based on my research, the starting salary of a Filipino graduate here at a top school is like $5,000 compared to America, or at least Cornell.
Oh, but that's really good for Philippine. Sorry, but that's really good.
Statistics that I saw is $50,000. That's 20.
Oh, this is never mind. This is year. I thought it was per month. Sorry. Oh, okay. Now that's embarrassing. Now, sorry. Let's run it back.
On my research, the starting salary of a Filipino graduate here at a top school is like $5,000 compared to America, or at least Cornell statistics that I saw, is $50,000. That's 20 times. And even with that amount, like,
It's not 20 times, it's 10 times.
people in America struggle with only earning that much, especially if they took out loans. It is just insane how big that gap is, like 20 times the amount. So let's start talking about financial.
Well, you just put one more zero in, okay.
And even with that amount, like, people in America struggle with only earning that much, especially if they took out loans. It is just insane how big that gap is, like 20 times the amount. So let's start talking about financial goals. I have noticed among my friends in America that their goal is to start their career like as soon as possible. Like, the reason they work so hard during college to get these internships is so they can immediately get full-time offers. They can be set in like New York or the Bay Area and get an apartment, move out of their parents' home. And it's almost looked down upon if you stay with your parents or like you're not able to find a job. Whereas for me, like, I grew up thinking that I would just live under the roof of my parents' house until I found a husband or something. That's at least what my parents told me. Financing college. Many people in the States
Okay, we are going fast actually.
take out loans, they start working part-time jobs when they're in high school so that they can start paying for their education. Some parents do allocate funds for their child's education, but many of my friends I've noticed did not have that allocation, and so they have taken that responsibility to themselves to pay off their loan and completely fund their education. Whereas for me, I'm very grateful that my parents had already allocated that for me. Like, my family cares so much about education, and that's why growing up too, they told me to just like study hard. Literally, like, the goal is to just work hard, study hard, because education is the key to unlock all those future opportunities. While I'm super grateful that
I don't think if you have education you will become rich, specific nowadays, but I think you have a better chance, basically, and I believe that. I know nowadays there is a lot of self-made, you don't need to go to school or something, and that could be true to some people, but I think most people studying is still the best idea.
I didn't have to worry about any debt, which, by the way, is a very unique problem in America. Like, the whole college debt situation, I noticed, is very distinctive of America and is not as common in other countries, I've noticed. But the trade-off of that, though, is that it makes me financially dependent on my family. Growing up, I did not have the freedom to make decisions on my own because I didn't have a say over my money. It was very much like my parents provided for me. The dynamic was very much like I had to ask my parents. Like, in any decision I was going to make, in whatever I wanted to do, I needed to ask my parents. Even if it didn't involve a financial transaction, I always had to go through them first. And so,
and I also did this. I thought this was normal. My friends, I may run this one back because those points are a bit confusing to me. Sorry. No, this is a long video, but you guys know, when I watch something, I really want to try to understand everything, and this one is a bit of a mess in my head. Let's play it again.
For their education. Some parents do allocate funds for their child's education, but many of my friends I've noticed did not have that allocation, and so they have taken that responsibility to themselves to pay off their loan and completely fund their education. Whereas for me, I'm
okay. This is easy to understand. They have to pay the education of the university, right? The first years that the parents.
Very grateful that my parents had already allocated.
Because in America, normally they take loans, right, to go to university.
That for me, like, my family cares so much about education, and that's why growing up too, they told me to just like study hard. Literally, like, the goal is to just work hard, study hard, because education is the key to unlocking all those future opportunities. While I'm super grateful that I didn't have to worry about any debt, which, by the way, is a very unique problem in America. Like, the whole college debt situation, I noticed, is very distinctive of America and is not as common in other countries, I've noticed. But the trade-off of that, though, is that it makes me financially dependent on my family. Growing up, I did not have the freedom to make decisions on my own because I didn't have a say over.
But neither American kids, right? I mean, if you are a father or a mother, your kid does, that you are the one providing what is the point here, my friends?
My money. It was very much like my parents provided for me. The dynamic was very much like I had to ask my parents. Like in any decision I was going to make, in whatever I wanted to do, I needed to ask my parents. Even if it didn't involve a financial transaction, I always had to go through them first.
But I think most American kids that are young adults nowadays watching this video will relate with this, right?
And so I think in my culture, money is a means to control. It is very easy to revoke any opportunity if you don't have the money, because reality is.
What the hell? Oh my! Normally I try to be nice, but what is this like? Money is meaning to controls everywhere, my friends. No matter if you are talking about Mississippi, Alabama, California, North Carolina, Portugal, France, Philippines, everywhere. Money means control, actually. What is this take?
I always had to go through them first. And so I think in my culture, money is a means to control. It is very easy to revoke any opportunity if you don't have the money, because reality is you need money to do things in life. You need to survive. And the dynamic is just different in my culture because I looked up to my parents to always provide that, whereas I think in America, people grow up taking that responsibility on themselves earlier on. Now,
really, my friends, maybe this is something that I'm not aware. I also ended up relying on my parents until I was like 18 or 20, 21. I don't remember exactly. I know I ended up leaving my parents' home at 23. But I mean,
I'm starting to realize there are benefits to having that financial freedom, and I'm trying to be a bit smarter with money, but it has taken a big shift in my mindset to realize the pros and cons of being financially dependent. Also, on the note of education, I feel like the ability to study abroad is not just so I can go and study and learn, but it's also looked at as an investment. So I am an investment that my parents make to send me abroad with the expectation, with the tied condition that I return home after and I help them. This is pretty common in.
Okay, this could be actually a big culture shock because maybe they make such a huge effort to a daughter to study, and in America, if your kid study, you don't rely on him. You just wish now you do the best you can with the education for you. Don't worry about us. So this I understand actually.
Asian countries, I know I have friends in Singapore and Malaysia who are sponsored by their government, and their contract is you don't have to worry about tuition, like the government or sponsor will take care of it, but you have to return home for like 5 years and work in the government or work for that company to kind of pay it off. You don't have to worry about paying for your tuition, but you do have to worry about the next 5 years or whatever years you agree on to help that company. You don't have that freedom of choosing which company you want to enable your future like in America, because the offer of education is often tied. This is super fascinating, and this might just be me, but the concept of retirement was very new to me.
What?
In America, I noticed there were a lot of jokes to my friends that they'd be like, oh, when can I just retire and live my dream life in a cottage or travel the world or whatever. And I've always wondered, like, why does it take your requirement to start doing those things? It seemed to me like retirement was this goal that so many people had, that many people would start saving towards. And for me, it seemed like life for your first 30, 50 years was work, and then it was fun for after you retire. It seemed.
And the problem is sometimes we don't have health. You know what I mean? That's the problem. This is, I think, is one of the biggest dilemmas that we face. We make money until we are 60 or 70 or something like that, and then retire. Yeah, but now you are not the same person. That's, we should retire at this age and work at all. No, that also makes no sense. Never mind.
Seemed like there was only life before retirement and life after retirement sometimes. I deadass thought, and I still think, that I will be working till the day I die. My reason for saving is not so I can live fine when I'm old, it's so I can start providing for my family. Now, I know having a retirement plan is definitely like a good idea. I personally, though, grew up in a family where my grandparents are over 80 and they're still working. I think, though, there is more.
Holy. here in Portugal, this is crazy rare because at 65, you get money from the government and you can retire. So yeah, this is quite different.
Personal history behind it in that, when they were young, they were struggling, they were poor, and so for them, money has so much value and they have gained so much from working. They didn't even have a higher education or university degree, and so for them, they do everything in their power to make sure that they can continue providing for the next generations to come. We have a huge overseas working population. We call them overseas Filipino workers, but they move abroad and then they send remittances back to the country in order to help their families earn a living. And I believe 10% of our country's GDP comes from remittances. The beautiful thing that I've witnessed about this in my family is this amount of work, every day is done not out of like bitterness, not out of like, I have to keep doing this. It's generally done out of love, because for them, if they are able to provide for their family, if they are able to see their family have food and shelter and opportunities that they never had, it brings them great joy to do that. It's just so beautiful, and it really makes me want to do the same for my own family.
You know what? I was kind of disagreeing with that a lot at the middle of the video. With this, I also find beautiful and very honorable,
Family in the future. Reunions is also another big thing. Like, there are huge families here in the Philippines. I feel like a big part of my social scene was just having reunions with my extended family. My weekends were never really mine to just chill or, do the part-time job. I had some school obligations like volleyball tournaments, but aside from that, I always had to block out time in the weekend for family lunches and dinners. Now, just to summarize everything.
Oh, but I thought in America you guys also do this.
I think there are three main themes that are very different for me in America versus the Philippines. But the first is the non-stop work culture. I have never worked so hard in my life. I've always worked hard, but in America and among my friends, I feel like everybody is on the same wavelength as me, and so it kind of drives my energy too, and it's been exciting that way. But I think there's a fine line between burnout and overworking yourself, and that's a big problem I hear a lot about in America. The second,
yeah, I feel like Americans probably struggle with this. You guys are number one, no doubt about that, my friends. Take a look at numbers, economy, military. You guys are doing fantastic, and you should be super proud of America because it's a tremendous, tremendous country. But the thing that looking from outside that I believe we do better as a Europeans, real talk right now, is the work, and personal life balance. You can say, that's why we have the number one economy in the world and you guys don't. And that could be true, my friend. But, life is also short, if you know what I mean. So don't burn out yourself. And if you feel, some type of pressure, take a step back, seek help, because it's normal. I mean, if you don't stop working, you'll get you go crazy, I feel like.
is honestly the competitive culture. I think in America...
Sorry, but this is true. Americans are super competitive. And if you look at even the way the government rules the country, you can see that. I mean, number one in a lot of sectors, number one in the military again, like I was explaining. I think this is very evident.
In general, it is already such a strong country with a very talented workforce, and people, I feel, work so much to try to get a marginal difference in their growth. So I think if I took my work ethic in America and brought it to the Philippines, I would be able to go a lot farther in that metric. But the thing is, I don't feel that way in the Philippines. I don't feel like I have to be a workhorse. This might also be a Cornell specific thing, but I notice people are so pre-professional, and a lot of people are going for the same spots, the same big companies in Wall Street or Silicon Valley, and so they work so hard to just get in that top 1% of the world. And it's why I admire them too, is because they work mad hard to be in the best of the best. Whereas in the Philippines, because we're still a developing country, there's so much room everywhere to put your effort in. So I feel like we go from 0 to 80% with the same amount of effort, just because there are so many opportunities in the Philippines. We call it low-hanging fruit. People who usually study abroad in other countries and then return to their developing country back home see so many easy opportunities to grow their country because they just spent the past few years in a developed country, in what a country should function like. I at least have been coming home and I've been realizing so many areas of growth in the Philippines that I could put my effort in and then make a lot of impact in, versus in the States, it's kind of hard to find.
To be honest, this is true. I mean, I suspect she ended up learning so much with Americans that now going to the Philippines, it can change a lot of stuff there.
Where I can do that without putting in like extra
She.
amount of effort.
I have to be careful nowadays, right?
Compared to everyone who's already working so
But English not a main language, so sorry, it's evident. Right? Never mind.
hard. I hope that makes sense. And the final thing is consumer culture. Looking back, I spent so much in America that I really didn't need to spend. I have been in my home since March 2020, and the only thing I've purchased online were resistance bands for $10. In America, it's like Black Friday. Every online store is having a discount. You know, buy now, buy like, oh my gosh. I feel like I'm being sold things left and right because there's Amazon, because the shipping services are so reliable. There's like no
Do you guys also relate to this? Do you guys think capitalism in America is so present that it's always almost you are always chasing the next thing? Because every time I see commercials for American stuff like that, they are quite aggressive. So I wonder if you guys relate with this. Do you guys think, you know, that the consume culture is super present in the USA?
Excuse not to spend, whereas here in the Philippines I might still order something online and then get something totally wrong. So it's kind of like there's more of a barrier for me to spend because the system isn't as refined yet, but also it's like
Oh, that's a great point. And for example, if you guys got in a my friends, it's actually true that if you buy something in Amazon, let's say right now, you can get delivered that in the same day. Is this actually true? Or is it a myth? I don't know. That's crazy to me, by the way.
Don't need so many things. I have such a perfectly happy life here that I'm home without spending anything. I don't know why, but I kind of just woke up to that and I was like, why did I ever buy so much in the States? Like I never needed all of those things. This is a really fun, like cool fact about the Philippines. Starting from August, people start saving up so much money so that they can buy a lot for their friends and family in Christmas. They call it the Burr months because September, October, November, December, like basically a third of the year people are just saving money because they really plan to just spend all of it and gift it to people. And I think
that's amazing, my friends. But is this true? I want to fact check this one. And if so, September is around the corner, my friends, right? Maybe when you watch this video, it's already September. I'm not even sure. Oh, but this is actually quite amazing.
so sweet. Yeah, I love that about my country so much. Like it inspires me to want to save money very intentionally throughout the year so that I can spend it on other people and, you know, give more instead of buy, take for myself. Those were all my thoughts on my culture shocks in America. Give this video a thumbs up and comment if you related to any of them. I'm curious to see if these have been your experience or if you've had something similar or something totally different. I'm also on Instagram if you want to keep up at LohaKatieX. My DMs are open and I'd love to keep up with you off YouTube.
Okay, my friends, show her all the support. I thought this was an interesting video. I actually end up, I think our perspective coming from the Philippines is quite different than what I normally tend to react. I'm sure a lot of you guys will disagree with some comments, but it is what it is in this type of videos. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this with me. Really means a lot you guys end up staying until the end. Do not forget to leave a like and see you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.